Ms. Johnson and Mrs. Davis, you are here in court today to finally find out if the defendant is your biological father. You both claim at your mother's funeral a different man approached you and announced he instead is your father. Wow. Mr. Johnson, you admit you've always had doubts about your children's paternity, but say you're here today to answer 25 years worth of their questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Waiting outside the courtroom is yet another man who believes Mr. Johnson could be his father. He's also taken a DNA test and will meet him shortly. Ms. Johnson, explain to the court what happened at your mother's funeral.
Well, at the time, I haven't seen my mother in 4 years. I was at work, and that's how I found out that my mother had passed away. Now, the day of the funeral, when I had walked in, this guy had walked in behind me and put his hands around me and asked me, how is my beautiful little girl doing? Well, here at this time, I had thought that the defendant, Roger Johnson, was my biological father. And at the time, I did not know who was behind me. So, Your Honor, I'm sitting here looking, stunned and trying to figure out what is this guy talking about as far as him being my biological father.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, did you hear this?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And what was...
I told him, that these are my kids. Her father, supposed to be father, was actually a friend of her grandfather's.
Yes, Your Honor.
You knew this man already?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you grew up knowing this is just a friend of your family?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then he announces he's your father?
Yes, Your Honor. Him and my mother, when she was alive, told me.
In the case of Johnson, Davis v. Johnson, as it pertains to the paternity of Roger Johnson, Jr., and as to whether Roger Johnson, Sr. is his biological father, Mr. Johnson, Sr., you are his father. Now we'll move on to the results for Ms. Johnson. In the case of Johnson, Davis v. Johnson, as it pertains to the paternity of Elizabeth Johnson, and as to whether Roger Johnson Sr. is her biological father, Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father. And we have one more result left as it pertains to Ms. Davis. In the case of Johnson, Davis v. Johnson, as it pertains to the paternity of Melinda Davis, and as to whether Roger Johnson Sr. is her biological father, Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father.
This closes a lot for us, even when our mother was not here.
I'm so very happy for all of you. This is why we do this every day, right, Jerome?
Absolutely right.
Every day.
Thank you.
It's to reconnect families. I wish you all the very best of luck. You claim you found evidence that she cheated and another man may have fathered your little girl, Divine. Now, you called off the wedding, pawned the ring, and lost $300. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you're suing her for that, and you've petitioned the court for a paternity test to prove you are not her daughter's father.
Yes.
Ms. Butler, although you admit to cheating during the window of conception, you say you have no doubt Mr. Fernandez is Divine's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Fernandez, why did you pawn the ring?
Because I was frustrated, I was angry. I took the ring back and I left. The ring actually cost about $700. I was only given about $350 for it, Your Honor.
Do you have a receipt for the ring?
I actually don't have a receipt for the ring, but...
Before all that, when we first got together, he already had a girlfriend. So he already was a cheater in the beginning. He cheated with...
I cheated. Why are we here? I didn't cheat.
Okay.
Why are we here right now?
You did cheat, and that's exactly why I cheated. But he already had a girlfriend when we first got together. You know the baby is yours.
Cheat and the baby...
You know the baby is yours. You did cheat.
Miss Butler, why did you cheat?
Right, why did you cheat?
Because...
Miss Butler?
I want to tell you. Okay. One day he come over my house and he had the girl was supposed to be pregnant. It was supposed to be his baby. But he comes over, he say he was at the house seeing the baby. He comes to my house.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
And he smelled exactly like sex, his whole body. He think, you know what I'm saying, like I come in, I kiss him, I smell it. So I start kissing him all over because I'm like, okay, but I really was smelling him. That's what I was doing. So I'm kissing him. I smell sex everywhere, all over his body.
Okay, I get it.
Your Honor.
So,
Your Honor,
so,
I came in from work.
You lying.
Went to try to get some sleep.
I know
try
what
to get
sex
some
smell
sleep.
like.
And she say, oh, you smell like sex.
know,
I smell like sex. I've been
you
working
know what
all day.
Sex smell like,
working
Your
all
Honor.
day. Working
it's
all day.
It's the difference between sweat and sex.
So the bottom line is you
that
felt
she cheated. That's the bottom
like
line.
he had been cheating.
Yes.
And then what happened?
We get into a big argument. I put him out because I know what I smell. I don't care what he's talking about. I know what I smell. I'm bleeding my nose over his lies any day. So after he cheated on me, I called my friends so we can go out and I can have some drinks and I could try to get over him. We were out partying, drinking and everything, and some guys were buying me drinks, buying her drinks. So
bought you drinks,
eventually,
huh?
yes. So eventually we end up going to the room or whatever. And, you know, my friends were off doing their own thing. You know, I was drunk and I kind of felt, you know, pressure even more because they were all doing what they were doing. So I went on ahead and did it, but I used the condom for sure. I used the condom. It's no, you know, down my mind. I know I used the condom.
So you admit to cheating.
I don't feel like I was cheating because he cheated on me. So
it's sexual intercourse. It's cheating.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Fernandez, you are her father.
Told you. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. What do you mean? What do you look at her? Do you see her? Do you see her? Do you see her? Look at her. All this time you've been doing that.
Wow.
All this time. I told you that's your baby.
Come here, man. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you hear me? You hear me? I'm sorry, you hear me?
Yeah.
Listen to me, baby.
I love you, baby. You hear me? I just want the whole world to see how much I love you. Will you marry me?
Yes.
I love you, baby.
I love you, baby.
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Where my baby at?
Where the baby at all? So, Mr. Fernandez, I can see in your eyes this has been an emotional day. I do have to ask you about your suit. You've now proposed and given yet another ring, and you came here asking for $300 from your other ring.
I still want my $300.
I'm playing, baby.
I'm playing with you, babe. She good, Your Honor.
Okay, so is it safe to say you would like to withdraw your suit?
Yes, I do.
And I'm happy for you, too.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Williams, so why did you wait so long to get a DNA test?
I just found out about 3 months ago.
This child is 3 years old?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you just found out 3 months ago that you potentially could be this child's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
I met Miss Davis about 4 years ago at a party atmosphere and everything. We partied, ended up spending the night together that night.
So it was, in your mind, a one-night stand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you use protection?
because I was inebriated and it was 4 years ago, I'm not positive that I did use protection now.
All right, Ms. Davis, I need you to take me back to this night and get to how this man is just finding out about this baby 3 months ago.
Okay, at the time I was in a relationship, so I was for certain that my boyfriend was my child father.
How did you get to the point where you got a boyfriend, but you're at this party and having a one-night stand with Mr. Williams?
We was broken up, but we wasn't. We was split it for a couple of days.
Okay.
And I was just mingling, and that's when I met Mr. Williams.
It's always on the break, Ron. Always the break. How are you so certain he's the father?
For one,
She's not. Can I submit this?
Yes, you may.
I noticed that he was a junior.
Ron, will you hand me that evidence, please?
He's a junior, but his birth father didn't sign the birth certificate. So that right there gave me a lot of suspicion.
The man was not for certain that he was my son's father.
Okay, so he refused because he had doubts
Yes.
as to whether or not he was
Yes.
truly the biological father.
Yes.
But you named him after him anyway.
Yes.
That's why I'm so suspicious about it, because I can only do so much as far as stepping up, as far as being proactive as an alleged baby daddy. You know what I mean? Like, what else can I do? If I'm already going to work, I'm already spending time with him, I've already relocated states because of, the situation.
Ms. Bryant, you are Mr. Williams' girlfriend?
Yes,
current
ma'am.
girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So do you or do you not believe this is Mr. Williams'
I don't
son?
believe it.
You
I
don't believe it?
Because they had took a test, a home kit test, that was supposed to be back in 2 days. Mrs. Davis told us it takes 2.5 weeks to get the test back. But on the box it said 2 days. She finally said she got the test back 2.5 weeks later, come on over here, come and get it. We're expecting to come over there and get a paper saying, hey, this is your son, for Mr. Eddie Williams. She gives us a phony email address that is not even registered at all. When we put it in there, it says no account found. So it's no account under that name. So we call her back. She kind of has an attitude, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I tell you. Just kind of silly acting. Instead of, to me, if you are for sure that is Mr. Williams' son, it ain't nothing to say, here you go. Here you go. I would have printed it off myself. I ain't gonna give you my personal information.
So you're saying she gave you account information?
Account information.
But
for what?
To get the results that
Ourselves.
she was given.
Correct.
So the account information, you got it. So it was what? An email address
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and
a passport.
and a
That's
password.
phony.
That was phony.
That didn't exist.
Whew.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Williams, you are the father.
Wow. Wow.
Is that joy?
yes, it is. Yes, it is, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Okay.
Because
No, I just want to make sure because you know we don't do
She knows
clowning.
I'm responsible enough
But
to
is
take
that
care-
joy
That's
that
why.
it is finally out?
Yes,
She lucked up.
yes, it is. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Wow.
it. And I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
Mr. Williams, how do you feel?
I'm a little irritated because now I have another child to deal with for 18 years, and I'm not talking about Charles, my son, but I'm excited because me and my son do have a connection already. So more about her happiness is gonna be his future, and that's what I'm focused on.